Have you ever thought about what you'd do if one day you could no longer take care of yourself? Would you settle for the idea of moving into a nursing home, or would you fight for a better, more independent way of living? The truth is that aging is inevitable, but how we navigate it is entirely up to us. Most people believe a nursing home is the only option when independence starts to fade. But is it? What if there were alternatives that could let you keep your freedom, your joy, and your purpose without sacrificing the life you've built? In this video, we're uncovering 6 inspiring real-life stories of older adults who refuse to settle for the expected path. From adventurous seniors traveling the world to tech-savvy grandmas redefining independence, their journeys show us that life after 70 can still be vibrant, meaningful, and full of possibilities. Stay with us, because this isn't just about avoiding a nursing home. It's about discovering creative solutions that will inspire you or someone you love to live life on your terms, no matter the challenges. By the end of this video, you'll see how small changes, a little support, or a fresh perspective can open doors to new adventures, stronger connections, and renewed purpose, proving that aging is just another chapter in the story of a remarkable life. So, if you've ever wondered what the later years of life could look like outside of the ordinary, this video is for you. Let's dive in. If you are not subscribed, I recommend subscribing and activating the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support means a lot to me, and if you enjoyed this video, you can help me continue spreading the valuable lessons by liking and sharing it. If you like the topic of this video, please comment 1. If you don't, please comment 0 to let me know how I can improve and make better videos for you. Now, let's begin. Story 1. The Independent Grandpa. Meet Grandpa Joe, an extraordinary 85-year-old with a zest for life that defies his years. For as long as anyone can remember, Joe has been the epitome of independence. An early riser who greets the day with brisk morning walks, a devoted gardener who coaxes life from the soil, and an avid reader who finds solace in the pages of his favorite books. His days are filled with the quiet joys of routine, the kind that many take for granted but which Joe treasures deeply. As the years passed, however, Joe's family began to notice subtle changes. His steps weren't as quick, his gardening sessions became shorter, and the weight of his age began to show. Their concern grew, and soon, conversations about nursing homes and assisted living began to surface. They worried that Joe needed constant care, that the independence he cherished so dearly might no longer be safe. But Grandpa Joe wouldn't hear of it. The mere thought of leaving his home, a place where every corner held decades of memories, was unbearable. His morning walks, where he exchanged warm greetings with neighbors and waved to children on their way to school, were his lifeline. The familiar faces at the local coffee shop, where he shared stories and laughter, brought him a sense of belonging that no facility could replicate. Joe's garden, his sanctuary, was a testament to his life's work and love for nature. He wasn't ready to give all of this up. "I know I'm not as strong as I used to be," Joe told his family with unwavering determination, "but I'm still me. I'm still capable of living my life the way I want, with a little help when I need it." So, rather than give in to the narrative that aging must mean relinquishing control, Joe sought out alternatives. With the support of a compassionate home care worker, regular visits from his family, and the goodwill of his community, Joe found a way to stay in the home he adored. His life wasn't without challenges, but he embraced them with grace, proving that independence isn't defined by age or physical limitations. It's a state of mind, a deep-seated belief in your ability to live authentically and meaningfully. Joe's story is a poignant reminder of the power of autonomy and the importance of staying true to yourself, even when the world around you insists on change. It's easy for others to assume that aging means giving up, but Joe's journey tells a different tale, a story of resilience, resourcefulness, and the unyielding desire to hold on to the life you've built. Aging doesn't mean you must surrender your identity or your joy. Sometimes, all it takes is a little creativity and a lot of heart to keep living life on your terms. Grandpa Joe may not have the same spring in his step, but his spirit remains unshaken. His story inspires us to rethink what it means to grow older and to cherish the freedom that comes from living life your way, no matter the obstacles. For Joe, independence wasn't just a preference, it was the essence of who he was. And through his determination, he taught his family, and all of us, that with the right support, we can continue to thrive in the places and moments that make us feel most alive. Story 2. The surprising move of a retired teacher. Let me share with you the heartwarming story of Mrs. Hargrove, a retired teacher in her 70s whose journey is a testament to the power of courage, self-discovery, and finding purpose in unexpected places. After spending decades shaping young minds in the classroom, Mrs. Hargrove faced a pivotal question many of us will eventually ask ourselves. What comes next? She knew she didn't want to follow the conventional path of moving into a nursing home or staying in her old neighborhood, where days might blend into monotony. Instead, she made a surprising and brave decision that would change her life forever. Mrs. Hargrove chose to move to a small, lively community specifically designed for retirees, a place bustling with energy, creativity, and camaraderie. This wasn't an easy choice. Her family, though well-meaning, was skeptical and worried she was leaving behind the familiar comfort of her longtime home. They couldn't understand why she would risk stepping into the unknown at her age. But Mrs. Hargrove felt something deep within her, an unshakable yearning for a life filled with more connection, purpose, and joy. The first few weeks were challenging. She had to adjust to her new surroundings and introduce herself to people she had never met before. But in a matter of months, Mrs. Hargrove began to flourish in ways she hadn't imagined. She found a group of like-minded individuals who shared her interests, values, and zest for life. These weren't just acquaintances. They became her friends, her support system, and her extended family. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. Rediscovering a long-lost passion for knitting, she started teaching classes to other residents. What had once been a hobby pushed to the sidelines during her busy teaching career now became a source of joy and fulfillment. The twinkle in her eyes as she guided her fellow retirees through the art of knitting spoke volumes. She wasn't just passing the time. She was creating, connecting, and contributing in a way that lit up her soul. The transformation in Mrs. Hargrove was undeniable. She was no longer merely existing. She was thriving. Every day was filled with purpose, whether it was planning a knitting project, joining community events, or simply sharing a cup of coffee with a neighbor. Her laughter echoed through the halls of her new home, a living reminder that life after retirement doesn't have to mean slowing down. It can mean embracing a new beginning. Mrs. Hargrove's story is more than inspiring. It's a call to action for all of us. Aging can bring an overwhelming temptation to retreat, to stick with what's safe and familiar. But she teaches us that life is still ripe with opportunities for growth, joy, and connection, if we dare to seek them. Moving to a new community wasn't just a relocation for Mrs. Hargrove, it was a rebirth. She surrounded herself with people who understood her journey, shared her passions, and reminded her that the best chapters of her story were still being written. This story challenges us to reflect on our own lives. What might we gain if we stepped outside our comfort zones and sought out spaces where we could thrive? Mrs. Hargrove didn't let fear or doubt dictate her decisions, and because of that, she found a life richer than she could have imagined. Let her journey remind us all, it's never too late to embrace change, find community, and rediscover the spark that makes life worth living. Story 3. The Adventurer in his 90s. Let me share the extraordinary tale of Mr. Thompson, a 92-year-old man who refuses to let age define the limits of his life. While many people his age might be content with the comfort of their favorite chair or the routine of quiet days at home, Mr. Thompson chose a path that defies expectations. Instead of retreating into the stillness of old age, he embraced it as an opportunity to finally live out the dreams he had once placed on hold. With his daughter as his traveling companion, he has transformed his golden years into a vibrant, globe-trotting adventure. Imagine a man in his 90s wandering the charming streets of Paris, savoring the aroma of freshly baked bread in small cafes. Picture him hiking through the rolling hills of the Italian countryside, his steps unhurried but full of purpose. Envision him standing amidst the ancient ruins of Greece, marveling at the grandeur of civilizations past. These aren't the travels of a man simply checking off a bucket list. These are the journeys of a soul hungry for connection, wonder, and the kind of joy that only comes from living fully in the moment. What makes Mr. Thompson's story even more awe-inspiring is his choice to forego the plush comfort of luxury cruises and guided tours. Instead, he seeks authenticity. He stays in modest apartments and boutique hotels, immersing himself in the rhythms of local cultures. He dines where the locals dine, converses with strangers in bustling markets, and absorbs the true essence of each place he visits. His travels are not about collecting postcards. They are about collecting experiences, the kind that leaves imprints on the heart and enriches the soul. When I think of Mr. Thompson, I can't help but feel a surge of admiration and hope. He is living proof that age is merely a number, a detail that need not confine us. At 92, while others may see limits, he sees boundless opportunities. His story reminds us that the later chapters of life can be the most liberating, filled with the freedom to explore the world with a new perspective, one shaped by decades of wisdom and an acute understanding of what truly matters. Mr. Thompson teaches us a powerful lesson. It is never too late to chase excitement, challenge yourself, and create unforgettable memories. Watching him take on the world makes me reflect on how often we let fear, routine, or self-imposed limits hold us back from stepping into the unknown. His story whispers to all of us, whether we are 92 or 32, that the spark of adventure lives within us, waiting to be ignited. All it takes is the courage to take that first step. So, let us be inspired by Mr. Thompson's audacious spirit. Let us look at life not as something to be endured but as something to be savored. After all, if a 92-year-old man can embrace the world with open arms and a fearless heart, what's stopping the rest of us? Story 4. The Tech-Savvy Grandma. Let me introduce you to Grandma Ruth, a remarkable woman in her 80s who defied expectations and redefined what it means to age with dignity and independence. Despite the physical challenges that came with her years, Grandma Ruth was fiercely determined to remain in her beloved home, surrounded by the memories and comforts she had built over a lifetime. She wasn't ready to give up her freedom or let society's assumptions about aging dictate her life. Instead, she decided to do something extraordinary. She embraced technology, turning what many might see as a barrier into her greatest ally. It wasn't easy at first. Like many of her peers, she found the idea of learning to use smartphones, tablets, and smart devices daunting. But Ruth was not one to back down from a challenge. With patience, persistence, and a little guidance from her tech-savvy grandchildren, she began to navigate this digital world. Slowly but surely, she turned her home into a smart haven. A voice-controlled assistant allowed her to adjust the lights and thermostat or lock the doors without moving from her favorite armchair. Medical emergencies that once caused her anxiety were now met with the reassuring press of a button, instantly connecting her to family or doctors. But what truly made Grandma Ruth's journey so heartwarming was how technology rekindled her connection to the people she loved most. She no longer felt isolated within the walls of her home. Through video calls, she could see the smiling faces of her grandchildren, laugh at their silly antics, and even witness her great-grandchildren taking their first steps, all in real time. On Friday evenings, she joined family game nights virtually, her face lighting up the screen as she celebrated victories or teased her kids for losing. Ruth's laughter, once reserved for occasional visits, now filled her home every single day. Grandma Ruth's story is more than just a testament to resilience. It's a lesson in embracing the tools available to us, no matter our age. Her courage to adapt and learn turned her golden years into something truly golden. She taught us that independence is not just about physical strength but about the strength of spirit to adapt and evolve. Her journey shows that technology is not just for the young. It is for anyone willing to see its potential to transform lives, bridge distances, and foster love and connection. So, when I think of Grandma Ruth, I don't just see an elderly woman using gadgets. I see an icon of courage, a role model who reminds us that growth and learning are lifelong gifts. If she could overcome her fears and embrace change with such grace, why shouldn't we? Her life is a beautiful reminder that no matter how old we are, there is always a new way to take control of our story, to stay engaged, and to live fully on our own terms. Story 5. The Gardener Who Never Stopped Growing. Let me share with you a story that illustrates the unyielding spirit of a man who refused to let age dictate his joy. Mr. Clark, a 79-year-old gardener with a passion for life, found himself at a crossroads that many of us fear. His garden, a vast, sprawling oasis filled with vibrant flowers, hardy vegetables, and towering trees, was his life's work. It wasn't just a garden. It was a living, breathing testament to years of love, dedication, and connection to the earth. Every corner of that garden held a story, a memory, and a piece of his soul. For decades, Mr. Clark had poured his heart and energy into his beloved sanctuary. The mornings spent sowing seeds, the afternoons pruning branches under the sun's warm embrace, and the evenings marveling at the fruits of his labor brought him a profound sense of peace and purpose. It was a place where he could lose himself, reconnect with nature, and feel a sense of accomplishment that no other activity could match. The garden was his refuge, his therapist, and his teacher. But time, as it does for all of us, began to leave its mark. Tasks that once felt invigorating started to take a toll on his body. The constant bending, lifting, and hours of labor became overwhelming. His joints ached, his back stiffened, and even the simplest of tasks felt like climbing a mountain. His family noticed his struggles and began to worry. They saw how the demands of maintaining such a large garden were wearing him down and gently suggested that it might be time to let it go. They believed that giving up the garden was the only solution to protect his health. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. To anyone else, this might have seemed reasonable. But for Mr. Clark, the thought of walking away from his garden was unbearable. This wasn't just a patch of earth, it was a part of him. It was where he found joy, purpose, and solace. Letting it go would have been like giving up on a piece of his identity. And so, with the same determination that had made his garden flourish for all those years, he decided that he wouldn't give up, he would adapt. Rather than seeing the situation as the end of something he loved, Mr. Clark saw it as an opportunity to begin anew. He reimagined his garden, transforming it from a sprawling, labor-intensive space into a smaller, more manageable haven. He started by carefully evaluating the plants he wanted to keep, choosing those that were hardy, low maintenance, and brought him the most joy. Gone were the days of large vegetable plots that required endless hours of care. In their place, he planted a few smaller beds of his favorite herbs and vegetables, enough to nurture his spirit without overwhelming his body. He replaced high-maintenance flowers with perennials that bloomed year after year with minimal effort, and he let go of the towering trees that needed regular pruning. Instead, he added pots and planters at waist height, allowing him to tend to his plants without straining his back. His garden shrank in size, but it grew in meaning. Every plant he kept or added had a purpose, and every moment spent tending to his garden felt intentional and fulfilling. The transformation was remarkable. The new garden, though smaller, radiated an intimacy and charm that the larger garden had never quite captured. With fewer plants to care for, Mr. Clark could focus on the simple joys of gardening, watching a seed sprout, feeling the soil between his fingers, and admiring the quiet beauty of nature. He no longer felt pressured to maintain perfection. Instead, he embraced the imperfections and found beauty in the process itself. His family, who had feared that he would struggle to adjust, were amazed when they saw the renewed vitality in his eyes. Mr. Clark wasn't just surviving, he was thriving. His garden, though different, brought him the same joy and sense of accomplishment it always had. It became a reminder to his loved ones that passion doesn't have to fade with age, it simply needs to evolve. Mr. Clark's story is a powerful lesson for all of us. It reminds us that aging doesn't mean giving up the things we love. It means finding new ways to cherish them. Whether it's gardening, painting, writing, or any other pursuit that fills your heart, there is always a way to adapt and continue. Life is not about clinging to what once was. It's about embracing what can be. In Mr. Clark's case, less truly became more. The simplicity of his smaller garden allowed him to reconnect with the essence of why he loved gardening in the first place. It wasn't about the size of the space or the number of plants. It was about the joy, peace, and fulfillment it brought him. By adapting his passion to fit his new reality, Mr. Clark found that aging doesn't have to mean decline. It can be a time of growth, discovery, and reinvention. His journey teaches us that resilience is one of life's greatest gifts. Even as our bodies change and challenges arise, our spirit remains capable of finding joy and purpose. Mr. Clark never stopped growing, not in his garden, not in his heart, and not in his outlook on life. His hands may have slowed, but his determination bloomed as brightly as the flowers in his new sanctuary. And in doing so, he proved that passion, like a well-tended garden, can thrive in any season of life. Story 6. The Family Legacy. Let me share with you the story of Mildred, an inspiring 84-year-old woman whose decision to stay in the house she had lived in for over half a century speaks to the depth of human connection to place and memory. Mildred's home wasn't just a structure made of bricks and mortar. It was the heart of her life story, a sanctuary where countless chapters of love, laughter, and even heartache had unfolded. Every inch of that house carried the weight of her experiences, and every corner echoed the sounds of a life well lived. This was the house where she and her late husband first started their journey together, where they celebrated birthdays, holidays, and milestones with their children. It was the place where their love had grown, weathered storms, and created a family. The walls had witnessed her children taking their first steps, speaking their first words, and growing into adults. Even the scuffed kitchen floor told stories of spilled milk during breakfast chaos and late-night chats over tea. Mildred's home was steeped in the essence of her life, and to leave it felt like erasing a part of her very being. As the years passed and Mildred's health began to waver, her children, with the best of intentions, suggested she consider moving to a nursing home. They were worried about her safety and the burdens that came with aging alone in a house that required maintenance and care. They spoke gently but firmly, hoping to convince her that moving would be the best choice for her well-being. But Mildred's heart could not bear the thought. She looked around her home, the photographs lining the mantel, the worn armchair where she sat every evening, and the kitchen table that had seen decades of family meals. How could she leave behind the place that held the memories of her husband, the laughter of her children, and the stories of her life? For Mildred, leaving her home would be like leaving a piece of herself behind, and she simply wasn't ready to do that. Instead of moving, Mildred decided to take a bold step to maintain her independence while staying rooted in the place she loved. She created a support system that allowed her to stay in her home safely and happily. Her daughter began visiting once a week to help with errands and chores. Her grandchildren, full of youthful energy and love, started stopping by after school to bring her groceries or simply to sit and talk. A neighbor she had known for decades also offered to lend a hand whenever needed, fixing small things around the house or just checking in to make sure she was doing well. These small acts of love and support transformed her life, allowing her to remain in the home that brought her so much joy and comfort. Mildred also made adjustments to ensure her safety. She had grab bars installed in the bathroom, moved her bedroom to the first floor, and arranged for a cleaning service to help with the heavier chores. These practical changes gave her the peace of mind to continue living where she felt most at ease. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 3 below to let me know that you are still here with me. Her home became a haven, not just for her but for her family as well. It was the place where her grandchildren would gather to hear her stories about their parents' childhoods, the same stories that had been passed down like cherished heirlooms. The old house became a living museum of the family's history, where every object and photograph carried significance. Mildred's story is a testament to the idea that home is not merely a place to live, It is a vessel that holds our memories, our dreams, and our identity. Her home gave her a sense of purpose and belonging that no nursing home, no matter how comfortable, could ever replicate. For Mildred, staying in her home was about more than familiarity. It was about preserving the legacy of a life lived with love, laughter, and resilience. As I reflect on her story, I am struck by the profound lesson it offers. Aging does not mean we must abandon the places that have shaped us or the memories that have defined us. While many believe that moving to a new environment is the answer to the challenges of old age, Mildred reminds us that sometimes the best solution is to adapt and hold on to the things that truly matter. Mildred's choice wasn't just practical, it was deeply emotional. It was about staying connected to the spirit of her husband, whose laughter still seemed to echo in the walls. It was about honoring the home where her children had grown and where she had built a life filled with meaning. Most importantly, it was about refusing to let go of the place where her heart still felt most at peace. Her story resonates with anyone who has ever loved a place so much that it feels like a part of who they are. It reminds us that home is not just a location. It is the backdrop to our lives and the guardian of our most precious memories. Mildred's decision was not just about staying in a house. It was about preserving a legacy, holding on to love, and maintaining a sense of identity in the face of change. In the end, Mildred's story is a beautiful reminder that the right place to age gracefully is often not somewhere new or unfamiliar, but in the heart of where your life's most cherished moments have unfolded. Her courage and determination inspire us all to value what truly matters: love, memories, and the unyielding spirit of home. Mildred's story is a touching reminder of the power of home, love, and the connections we hold dear as we navigate the journey of aging. Her decision to stay in the place that meant the most to her, despite the challenges, speaks volumes about the importance of preserving our roots and embracing the memories that define us. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What have you learned from Mildred's inspiring journey? Is there one thing from her story that resonates with you, something you would like to bring into practice in your own life? Share your thoughts and reflections in the comments below. I can't wait to read them. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to leave a comment, like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Your support helps us bring more meaningful stories and insights to you. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.